like to introduce Dan and Jenny. Before you do, though, I do. They may say a few derogatory things about me. Please do not believe them. So Dan and Jenny, come on up.
Okay.
What?
I don't know how to use one of these, so I'm going to give it a go.
All right, so hi, how's everybody? Starting off that way, that's bad. How is everybody doing today? First of all, I want to just say thank you for inviting us to be here, and thank you to Bob for inviting us and the 2 weeks of heartburn while preparing for public speaking. Not exactly my strong suit, as you can already tell. But before we get going, I wanted to take a moment and talk about one of the members of one of our boards, or of my board, recently passed away unexpectedly. His name was John, and he was just the nicest, most kind, inspiring, and just a really great guy to have around and to encourage everything we do. And we're all kind of shocked by his passing. And I want to mention him as a way not only to remember him, but as a way to thank all of you guys and all your board members for really taking this precious time that we have to help and support each other and all of our businesses.
So before we begin with our actual agenda, I'm a storyteller all the time, and I have a story for you to start. Every year for the past 6 years, our family, two other families in our family, go to the Omni right up the road here for staycation. And inevitably, throughout the couple days we're there, the moms get to go out for a little night out, and we hit the tap room, and we hang out and do some girl talk and what have you. And pretty sure it might have been that table back there that I met 2 years ago. There was some contingency from, oh, there we go. There are some folks from the UK, Ireland, and we just got to talking, and pretty soon I was like, well, what do you guys do? And they're like, oh, we're in the business of helping other businesses, and help them grow and see things. And we had literally been in TAB for about 6 months at that point, and they were telling what they do, and I go, are you talking about the alternative board? And they're like, what? And we're like, what? Oh my God. And so we were suddenly like, having a couple of cocktails and talking about things, and they proceeded to pick my brain for about an hour about the things that we really loved about TAB and how it was helping us. And I'm going to say that I'm pretty sure I'm clear on this, but I was promised a trip over to the UK. Just saying. I was going to be the poster child for how TAB worked and stuff. So I'm proud to say that 2 years later, this presentation is happening 10 whole minutes from where we met. So hopefully at the end of this, I will be getting a little trip over to England, just saying. All right, so anyway, on to the agenda.
All right, so 3 things we really just want to cover while we're here. A little bit of what the heck we do, who we are, a little story about our background, and how the hell did we get to this point, or eventually the good point.
Right.
So go to the next one. So what we do, Yellow Dog has one real mission, and that is to help our customers effectively communicate utilizing the power of print. That comes in a lot of different forms.
So we're a digital printing company, and I feel like I should give a small commercial because maybe hopefully at one point we'll have 100 new customers for Yellow Dog at the end of this. But what we do is we help folks, generally speaking, with their marketing collateral. So we're talking business cards and brochures and retractable banner stands, menus, all sorts of things. We also have a large focus on event materials. For example, the things that are out there, the things that are on your tables right now. If you want to call me for next year, I'm good with that. We also do tents and flags and way signage. We also do a lot of outdoor signs, indoor signs as well, car wraps, wall murals, that sort of thing. And then we have kind of a fun contingency of designers that are customers of ours. They're generally people who make note cards or they're wedding planners, so we do everything from the wine label that goes over the top of the bottle to their seating charts, their invitations, you name it. And last but not least, we have a group of artists where we do the artist reproduction. They either take their photography and we reproduce it, do canvas displays. So that's kind of Yellow Dog in a nutshell.
Quick nutshell. Cool. All right, so we want to take you through a brief history of Yellow Dog, and we thought the best way to do that is to really give you a little bit of the history of us, because it's all very intertwined. So, 1997, oldest story in the world, how every good story begins. Boy meets a girl at a barbecue.
Well, in 1998, about a year later, as you know, when you're dating someone and you're starting to get serious, but not serious enough, you get a dog. And that dog was a yellow lab named Maggie. So we hang out, we travel, we moved to New York, we're hanging out with the dog, we're having a good time. Dan proposes 2001. We actually get married and we move back to Denver. And then in 2001 to 2005, all the things that are supposed to happen happened. We have our first child, her name is Abby, in 2003. And in 2005, we are pregnant with the second child, and this one says to me, hey, I've got a great idea, let's start a business. And I'm like, can there be any more chaos in our life? But sure, let's do it. Well, guess what we called it? Maggie was our first love, so the company is named Yellow Dog. So 2008, we've been in this for 5 years. Check out our net sales. We're high-fiving, we're like, woo, what's everyone whining about? This business starting is not even a thing, like it's totally easy, no problem whatsoever. We think we're pretty cool. We're starting to get a little high, wide, and handsome. And the next thing you know, in 2012, the wheels are officially off the bus. This is not the net sales chart you're looking at here. This is a lovely representation of our owner distributions. As you can see, during the wheels coming on off the bus phase, I don't know about you, when I looked at it, it looks a little bit like this, because we were spending money and having a good old time and not spending much time working on our business. So that's kind of the telltale sign. The good news is with that is, if there's one thing Dan and I have in common, is we're both really hard workers. And we knew right then it was a big wake-up call. We were going to go out of business. So we spent the next 2 years busting our butts. We worked hard, we had blood, sweat, and tears. We worked on our marriage, we worked on our relationship with the staff, you know, all the things we knew to do. And lo and behold, 2014, we're at $1 million in sales. We feel really great about it. We are haggard and worn out from all this work. And guess what? We're broke. So we're like, yay, $1 million. We have no money in the bank. This is not good. So guess what? In comes the cavalry. Woohoo! So Bob and the alternative board entered our lives, our Yellow Dog lives, in 2015. And it turns out we had quite a bit to learn. And I don't want you guys to feel sorry for us, because there is a happy ending coming. And I will let you know that after those 2.5, almost 3 years with Tab, our net profit last year at this time was 3%. Now for printing, should be around 8% if you're really killing it. So 3% is like, is that good? We're about a half a year into this. But the thing is, it is really good, because the first quarter of that year, we lost about $30,000. So by the time July came around, and we'd been working with Bob, the big ship was slowly turning. So now this year, 15% net profit. I know. Woo! And we've had a 20% increase in sales. So while it took us the first 9 years to get to $1 million, this year I'm pretty sure we're going to end at about 1.7. So we're feeling really good. So now I'm sure you all want to know, how did that happen? What is the magic sauce that Bob Morrow and the Tab group gave to us? And I used to be in sales years and years ago. And I remember this slide that I was taught in one of my sales training classes, and I'm sure that you've probably all seen it. Have you seen this adult learning curve? Right? Conscious, unconscious incompetence. I would say we flailed around for about 9 years doing that, being like, what's the deal, you know? And But this process of taking us from being unconscious and incompetent, which is really blissful, by the way, but then we go into the, oh my God, I am aware of how much I do not know.
Not nearly as fun.
Yeah. And then we go into the, wait, I can do this and I can learn this, to I'm doing this automatically and I'm competent. Now, I hang around in the unconscious competence about 1 minute of a year, but I'm always learning. And I feel like I should frame what TAB has done for us through this lens. Okay, step 1, meet with Bob. Yeah, we get a call during the time when we were having the full meltdown. We're not making any money. What are we going to do? And we get a call from Bob. He's like, it'll be 15 minutes, no big deal, take it or leave it. So, but we're pretty desperate at this point, so we take the meeting. And Bob comes in. He really kind of, does he care if we're join or not? It's very, well, of course, it's a club now that he doesn't seem to be interested in having me in, so now I really am interested in being in there. And so he gives us the book, says, come to a couple meetings. And I'm going to say that was my prime moment of being unconsciously incompetent. I thought, who is this guy? What does he know about printing? What does he know about us? But I'm going to that damn meeting. Okay, I'm going to see what he's talking about. So enter guest meeting number 1. So guest meeting number 1, you know how you have the takeaways at the end of the meeting. Everybody had talked, and this one woman said something that I literally will never forget. And she said, you need to work on the business, not in the business. And I thought, that sounds freaking amazing. I'm on this hamster wheel, just running all day, putting out fires, just never stopping. And the concept that I could stop doing that and think about the business and help the business grow was like, it's an eye-opening experience. But I had literally no confidence that I could get there. But for 1 minute, I thought, I really think that if I try hard, I could do it. So then we have meeting number 2. Whoops, went back, sorry. Then we have meeting number 2. And I'm sure Bob planned this, but maybe not. It was an annual review meeting, and there was 2 folks that gave their annual review that day. And they were talking KPIs and SWOTs and DISS and all sorts of acronyms. And I was like, I'd heard these words before, but I didn't really know what they meant. But I micro-focused on this single sheet of paper where they had their KPIs, where they had their profits and gross margins, and how you really figure that out. Because I had tons of data at Yellow Dog, but I was like analysis paralysis. What mattered? What's going to make a difference? And so I left that meeting, and I had taken notes, and I knew we were having a follow-up meeting with Bob. And I left that meeting, and I did a spreadsheet, took my data, crunched the numbers, got in the spreadsheet, and then in comes Bob for our follow-up meeting. And we talked about it and where we could improve and what the next steps were and all that. And then Bob said something that has changed my opinion of him forever. He said, Jenny, you get an A+, job well done. I said, I like you, Bob. So that's my conscious competence moment. We're off and running and we're ready to go. So now.
So, a lot has happened since that second meeting with Bob where we decided we were going to join. And we thought the best way to talk about it would be to kind of take this 2.5 years worth of meeting, distill it down into 5 key thoughts, or as you guys like to call, what are your takeaways? So, within that, the first one. There's an amazing feeling when you get into this group of really diverse people, different backgrounds, different ideas, different businesses, that suddenly a lot of these problems that we're facing aren't really that unique. And the old joke, it's like, well, this business would be perfect if it wasn't for the customers and the employees. And so many of the things are like the same kinds of problems. We're all facing them, and we're all talking about them. So there's this nice moment where you kind of go, whew, I'm not that screwed up. Or at least I'm just as screwed up as everybody else in this room. So there's a great peace of mind there with that.
Whoops, gosh darn it. Okay.
Number 2, they do say that communication is the cornerstone to any great partnership. And that's even more so when your partner is your partner. Unfortunately, a lot of times we're not very good at it. We work together 24/7 every day, literally 5 feet from each other. And it's amazing how often we don't talk about what goes on during that day. Or when we do start to have a vigorous discussion on some ideas or thoughts about what should happen, we don't necessarily have a great way to come to any decisions. So Bob, aka our second marriage counselor, and the board really help us take and frame those discussions into, well, what's best for the business? So we're not just sitting here talking with ourselves, we're able to actually sound out these ideas and put it in a framework that can actually help us. Number 3, it's amazing how often, like I said, with this very diverse group, somebody might be talking about a subject or a topic or an idea that literally has no relevance to anything you're working on or thinking about at that point in your business, but several weeks, several months later, it kind of percolates back up in your head, and you're like, holy crap. That's a great way to either solve this problem I'm currently having, or at least help reframe it into a positive message or a way to move forward with an idea. So number 4, since all of us are different and we're all at these different points in our businesses, from startups to maturity, and some people even ready to sell or move out from their businesses, we're able to really get and glean a lot of knowledge about not only that we're going to be able to get through whatever current issue we're grappling with at that point, but that also we can kind of envision what our company may become, or the options that are available to us in the future. We're able to take this group knowledge and put it into actionable intelligence for our business. And that brings us here to 5. One of the most amazing and really wonderful things that has come out of getting to know these people who have really become our friends is that they really care about you, your business, your family, what is going on, and how they can help. So it's a very giving organization versus just what can this do for me right now and what I'm doing. Everybody's there not only to solve those problems and give each other a little shit about stuff, but really they're all there to move each other forward and to root for each other. So
with that point, I have another Omni story. I don't know what happens, but the Omni is life-changing for some reason. But last year, we were all at the Omni again with our staycation. And this time, we met a couple just at the pool. There were some 20-something bankers from LA. So whatever, we were just shooting the breeze with them, and sure enough, it's mom's night, so I'm back in the tap room and see these bankers again. And I don't know what the deal is, but they were like super eager because they worked with small businesses, and I proceed, I've had a few adult beverages, and I proceed to get grilled by 20-somethings for the next hour, asking me about my numbers and how things were going. And, I said, oh, we're 3%, we were making some changes, we're coming around the bend, and they were like, you gotta be kidding me, you should be outsourcing your labor, 3%, why are you even doing this? And I really went into a downward spiral after that. I couldn't believe, first of all, I let some 20-somethings bruise my ego, but they really did. And so the next morning, I told Dan about what had happened, and I shed lots of tears. And so I was like, why are we even doing this? So we had a board meeting coming up right after that, and I'm not even going. I'm over it. So Bob knew about what had happened at the Omni. Dan went to the board meeting and said, hey, Dan, what's your topic? And Dan's like, I don't really have a topic today. Bob's like, well, I got one for you. Let's talk about why are we doing this? okay? And so that, I really truly believe, is a turning point in our business. 5 grown men sat in that board meeting and talked about vulnerability. They talked about how they felt like imposters half the time. They talked about sometimes it gets so tiring to keep mustering up the energy to do this day in and day out. Why are we even doing this? But the good news is there were guys in that room who had been through the fire and came out the other side. And they encouraged him to stick with the process, work the system. You know, you guys are consciously competent, okay? You can do this. You're aware of this. Keep at it. He left that meeting with hope, and he left that meeting, came back, talked to me, and we both pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps and have spent the last year working the program. And I think, honestly, it was a true testament to the TAB organization that that happened, because we had people there when we needed them, and it's really literally changed the course of our company. So that said, Bob's new challenge for us is stop the mode of surviving and start embracing thriving. And with, 15% net profit, making some money, I'm starting to kind of get a little comfortable with that idea. It's still really hard to do, but it feels amazing to be here, and I do really owe it all, or a lot of it, to the TAB process and Bob Morrow personally. So that's our story.
Thank you.
That's it.
And ignore that part about raising rates.
All right.
Never happened.
They have their fingerprints on what's so special about what we do and the people's lives we touch. So I got a text only a few weeks ago from Jackie Gurney. And I saw Jackie's thing pop up. So I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, what's up? You know? And then just to see that she told me that Mr. John Sasso, you have a picture of John? Yeah. He was a contract facilitator for Jackie for 15 years, right? I've had the great pleasure of meeting John multiple times. He's been at this conference before, I believe, right? Yeah. And some of you have, but he passed suddenly. And John had multiple boards with Jackie and was a big part of his business and a very special individual. And I remember me meeting John personally, and he just, a presence. You know, he had this confidence. I'm like, damn, I'm glad he's part of our community. So I asked Jackie to, I didn't know him that well, but I did want to recognize this gentleman who been with us a long time and has made a difference in a lot of people's lives. I said, Jackie, you mind sending me some thoughts on John? And she's like, sure. Well, Jackie did something a little bit better than that. Jackie then went to his members and asked them to share some thoughts. So in memory of John, I'd like to read a few of them if it's okay with you. Of his many talents as a leader, coach, mentor, and advisor, John possessed a profound ability to engage in deep conversations, helping lead those many moments of self-discovery as to how to improve our business, ourselves as leaders. Another member said, John helped me step back and think strategically about my business when I was apt to get involved in the day-to-day to-do list. I wish I had more time with him and gleaned more of his wisdom. Another member said, he truly cared. He cared about me, about my family, and about my business. All in that order. I called John for anything that I needed advice on, from family situations to business decisions. It's an understatement to say that I implicitly trusted him. Another member went on to say, John's leadership taught me that the worst decision one can make in business is to make no decision at all. John's actions spoke louder than his words. He led by example and wasn't shy about sharing his opinion. Mr. Sasso, rest in peace, my friend. There was another gentleman that passed away. Those who have been around our neighborhood for a while will know him, Mr. Wayne Berry. Wayne Berry was with us from the very beginning, really early on, I should say. Spoke with Alan about him. Alan was very bothered and upset by the passing of Wayne. Alan had a lot more interaction than I ever did with Wayne. But Alan spoke very, very fondly of him. He was part of the foundation that was created in TAB in the early years, over the first 5 years. A lot of the processes and tools and what TAB is today has Wayne's fingerprints all over it. He was a major contributor, as Alan spoke about, and I remember hearing Wayne's name constantly when I first started with TAB. You may not realize it, but Wayne was a huge part of the development of what we now call the TAB Business Vantage or the Business Diagnostic. When Wayne got his hand on it, after Alan originally created it, he practically doubled it in size by helping really think through what a business owner really needs to know and what we need to know about them in order to help them. Wayne had a business in a small area in Missouri called Jefferson City, only 35,000 in population. And he still was able to build himself a heck of a nice practice while there. And he had incredible retention. People loved him, and they stayed with him. He wound up being the part-time human resource department for several of Allen's members back in the day. He was an excellent man. He was a great member of the community, and he loved this organization and many of you in this room. Mr. Wayne Berry, rest in peace. Lastly, and I know many of you know this individual because he's been a big part of our life and Tab, is Ray Champney. Ray Champney passed away this year, and that was a very hard one. Many of you know he was part of MAB, and he gave countless hours of generosity to this organization. Every problem was just that, a challenge, and he overcame it with smile, grace. He worked hard in this community, and he gave everything he had. Ray and I had a special relationship because Ray came in right around the time I came in. Ray says that we actually went through training together. And for those of you who know, your training classes almost becomes your, your little fraternity or sorority type of thing. So I always had a connection with Ray. Ray was a very special guy. I mean, in his community, Ray was a very big part of the city council, and he was a politician out there, and he's a very well-known and respected individual. In fact, I was just speaking with Diana Gatz before the meeting, and she knew Ray very, very well, and the members. And she told me that the members are going to remember him as being this just compassionate, supportive, but hard-nosed guy who just would not let them not do what they say they were going to do. He was relentless in that, and they were very, very appreciative of him. In his community, he gave generously. In fact, they're about to name an area of this performing arts center to Ray. To me personally, Ray was a great mentor, counsel, and friend. I'm going to miss him. Rest in peace, Ray. I believe we're on break. Yeah? Break. Thanks, guys.